Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to wrap up today with a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what it is I need to check out. Today's comes at us from Spiro. Fun song and video. We're going to be looking at the artist Broken by the Scream. The track we're looking at is追憶のナスカ. I don't know anything about this. I do see that is 14.5 minutes long though. Let's dive in, see what's going on here. Okay, harsh layers to kick this off is bonkers. That bass is massive beneath the choir, too. Very death metal. What is layered with that snare, because it is a wide sound. I mean, I guess it's the guitar. There's two guitars, hard pans. So the synth is taking the lead melody duties. What a bonkers tone for this really fun idea. I can't handle this absurdity. This is, at times, more chaotic than even Between the Buried and Me. Just straight shred too, no tapping in there. To move from the breakdown into this, I can't handle this, y'all. always the wild juxtapositions too. No section moves into an expected other section. Four, still. Oh, there's some tapping. This is a very joyful moment though. Energetic, driving, but joyful. A little bit of jazz piano, because why not? Also sick drumming. I was going to say the bass line's picking up, but yeah, working into a solo. The highly processed vocals here are an interesting choice too. Okay, so it was kind of like doom metal in feeling, but harmonically a classic heavy metal. And then that piano run taking us to this. What's yeah. A full symphony, why not? Brass, woodwind. We got bells in there too, some auxiliary percussion. You know, if they throw a hoedown in here, this is gonna top Answer the Sky. Yeah, why not? Spoken word parts too? Okay. Is there anything this group can't do? Funky jazz fusion? I really hope that at least one concert in their entire career, they get to do it with live instruments for everything. I think, and the dance number for the show tunes. Are you kidding me? You can't use a cliche musical ending and then move into another movement. Oh. I like the snare tone here too. It sounds more like a classical snare drum than a rock one. Oh, but there's still the cellos? I can't believe the song's not over yet. Finally, I think this is the first time we've had anything repeated in like 10 minutes. So this is the chorus. I finally learned what the chorus was 12 minutes into a song. An almost anthemic sound with the harshes is ridiculous. This is great. Oh, okay. That's from the intro. Well, not the intro. I think it was the second. Yeah, we did a similar thing. Well, we didn't have a hoedown, but I still think I'm going to put this in the same category as Between the Buried and Me's Ants from the Sky, because I think these are the two tracks we've listened to with the most amount of, well, I was going to say, like, alternating ideas where they're purposefully frictional, moving from a lighter to a heavier sound, then back to a lighter one. But honestly, I think it's just they don't have to be frictional. These two bands, and specifically these two songs from these two bands, they just cram so much into these tracks. And I don't think I've heard anything that compares. We've listened to some wildly eclectic stuff, but I think these two are still the reigning champions for how much can we put in a song. Now, I'm also going to preface or add on some context to this. I've listened to like 1,800 tracks in the last 5 years just for the channel, not counting what I've listened to on my own time. There's a good chance something has slipped through the cracks of my mind. If y'all want to remind me of some other really bonkers tracks we've listened to on the channel with millions of sections to them, incredibly diverse. I think that's really the point too, because we've listened to prog rock and prog metal songs that have, 12 sections to them, but they're all, generally rock or metal. Something like this that's just incredibly diverse. That would need to be what I'm looking for here. I wonder if I can't quantify this, how many distinct, unique styles and sections show up in this track, and then make a Hall of Fame for the most disjointed songs that we've listened to. This would definitely be up there. And because of its disjointedness, because nothing in here really connects, I don't have an artistic perspective on it. It's a fun ride. I enjoyed it casually for entertainment value. And I don't want to say that this is only entertaining, that there's nothing else to it, but off of a first time listen and having the language barrier here as well, it just seemed like a bunch of random decisions smashed together. I don't see how any of this fits together. So if you're looking for in-depth emotional or narrative or artistic discussion here, hopefully someone can kickstart that in the comments. But unlike most of the other videos I do, I don't have much to comment on with this area. Instead, I want to look at more of a technical side of this and kind of break down why this is such a bonkers feat in general. Now, first of all, I don't really need to point this out, but there's a lot of styles and influences in here. There's metal. There's a few different styles of metal, even. There's a few different styles of rock, ranging from art to pop to rock and roll, kind of straightforward rock sounds. There's a couple of different jazz concepts in here. There's funk that's kind of played on top of jazzier ideas. There's jazz fusion, which brings in more of a rock flavor to it. We have some straight up jazz piano at places. The piano also gives us classical ideas. The classical concepts also expand into more orchestral, almost soundtrack style of classical writing, a modern classical. Am I missing anything? Oh, dude, there's show tunes and musical numbers in here. Those are kind of related but different as well. There's pop in here. There's so many different, and I'm probably forgetting some too, because in 14 minutes, I feel like they crammed 30 distinct ideas into this track. It is impressive just to have the chops to play all of this. The I mean, just looking at a guitar, the techniques you're going to be able to, oh, there's also math rock in here. I forgot about that wild tapping section that was kind of uplifting in an incredibly dark and antagonistic atmosphere. That's the other thing too, is that it's not just this is the jazz section, this is the classical section, this is the metal section. They're smashing all of these up too, which I'm going to touch on later when I explain why that's interesting. But the techniques used to play all of this is different. Jazz guitar is very different from metal guitar, is different from rock guitar. Having to learn tapping to do the math rock section is different than the pure shred metal solo. And that's just looking at guitar. Drumming techniques are completely different. Bass techniques are totally different. Vocal techniques are incredibly different, and especially when it comes to the shaping of your voice, your tone, in order to capture the specific colorings and shapings that specific styles are kind of associated with sonically, as far as vocal delivery goes. On the most extreme end of this, we have cleans versus harshes. We have two harshes there, but if you listen to the cleans too, there's different inflections, different shapings, different colorings, different timbres going on with each style as they shift their voice to match tones that fit the style. There's a lot of incredible musicianship going on here to show a vast understanding and knowledge of how to perform within all of these environments. I do wonder about every instrument that was shown off screen. Bells, auxiliary percussion, woodwinds, strings that aren't the guitar or bass, brass. There's a lot of instruments that they sound really good. If they're digital, if they're from a sound library, it was an expensive library, I'll tell you that. I know there's some really good ones these days that sound pretty natural. But regardless of if they had session musicians for this or not, I'm curious what's going on with that. And I'm sure they use a backing track live, but like I mentioned earlier, I would love just one show if they can just go all out. Don't have to worry about touring with all of these musicians, but get the session musicians, if they were there, and perform this whole thing live with real instruments. Just once to do it. The fans would love it, sure, but I feel like the band would love that too, just to have that experience. I know there's a lot of logistical things that go into touring with 50, 60 musicians. That just kind of makes it an impossibility, physically, but also probably financially. But dude, that would be phenomenal. But all of that adds to this too. I thought it was wild that, 8 minutes in, we just have the rock band and occasional synth, occasional piano, and then we have an orchestra and this piano and then these strings, and it continued to grow. And I found that to be a really cool evolution through the middle of this track. Now, I had mentioned also that it wasn't just the musicianship going on here, though. There's a compositional thing here, too. And I try not to assume too much when it comes to how things are made. I don't know if they have a central composer who is part of the band, who is outside the band. Maybe they hired a different person to compose all of the different sections here. Regardless, there is a display of mastery of all of these ideas. Everything sounds authentic. The jazz sections didn't sound like a metal band floundering through a jazzy sound. It sounded like jazz music. The funky section sounded like funk music. Everything in here sounded authentic. Whoever wrote this, whether it was one person with a vast knowledge of compositional knowledge, a vast library of compositional knowledge, or a couple of people all coming together to help create all of these moments, it feels right. It always blows my mind when I hear something like this, because even though maybe it doesn't flow properly, maybe there's not a lot of consistency or through lines through these ideas, it's still a strong understanding of all of these styles. And I think what elevates this a little bit is what I brought up earlier. It's how everything connects too. We bring in metal into math rock. We put heavy guitars underneath pop rock. We bring in a jazzy piano and then introduce funk around that. It's all of these ways of saying, well, these are the two genres we have. If we put them together, what's overlapped in the middle? What can we use as the glue to hold these two ideas together and play them at the same time? And so it's not just an understanding of how to write these, it's a strong understanding of the intricate workings of all of these styles and where the overlaps are that allow us to smash multiple genres together in ways that are cohesive. And I think that's really the thing that stands out to me, is as wild as some of these sharp turns are in this, because most of these sections do not transition into the next cleanly. There's also some smoother transitions as they take where the idea we were in, smash it together with another one, and then remove the original genre, allowing us to semi-smoothly transition sounds, sections, and movements. That, I think, is the real display of skill here. That, to me, tells me that this wasn't, assuming there's, just throw a number out there, 25 sections in this track, that it wasn't just 25 composers coming in and writing short snippets. That this was probably a smaller group of people who have a vast understanding of the intricate elements of these, knowing how they can all work and bounce off of each other. And I think that just makes it even more impressive for me, because it's easy to, well, it's easier, let me put it that way, to mimic a sound, but it's more difficult to be progressive with that. You really have to understand how it works in order to expand upon it naturally. And so, listening to this track, all the instrumentation is phenomenal. The atmospheres are great. The sections themselves sound authentic. Everything comes across as incredibly well done. And it makes me want to check out more. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy more. In fact, I find the parts of this track that I enjoyed far and few between. The more metallic sections are kind of hit and miss for me. There's a lot of really cool ideas in the middle, but most of the time I wanted them to go on longer. I wish this were maybe just 5 ideas that we got to expand upon rather than 15 or 20 short ideas. It does feel more like a medley of a lot of smaller concepts, or medley of larger concepts shrunk down and smashed together. And from a perspective, that's really cool. And from a technical perspective, it is incredibly impressive. But from a musical one, I really wanted to spend more time with a lot of these moments in the middle. And it makes me wonder if what the rest of their music is like. Are they a metal band? See, here's another thing. I don't even know what kind of music they generally make. We did bookend the track with metal, so I'm assuming they're a metal group, but they did everything in between so well too, that it wouldn't surprise me if they're like, yeah, we're a pop rock group, and we learned all these other styles. Our vocalists learned harsh vocals just to put this wild track together. Like, whatever perspective this band is, whatever their home genre is, I don't see any of these styles really being more defined than any other. That would make me think, yeah, that's definitely, their home style here. But I want to check out more of their music to see what else they're doing. I do see this is a recent track too. At least the music video came out back in June of this year. And Broken by the Scream, if they have a 2025 album, it's not in my list. And I feel like I need to, because there's a strong chance this might end up on my AOTY list. And there's still a couple of weeks left for me to put that together. So I feel like this has become a high priority thing for me. Now, I don't have a lot of complaints about this. The transitions are rough, and I don't have a strong emotional attachment to this track. Like I said, it felt like a fun ride to me. Good roller coaster track, but not much beyond the entertainment value and the novelty of all of it. But I do have a complaint. I feel like the four vocalists were underused. Maybe this is something that they do in other tracks. I did find that when we had the dual vocals in the harsh realm, the higher one and the lower one, we had layered harshes, we had call and response, we had hocketed, or in a sense, even counterpoint harshes at one point in time. We were actually making use of that. Pretty much every other part of this track is people taking turns with lead melodies. It's kind of my problem with a lot of K-pop and larger ensemble pop groups is that you might get some harmonies every once in a while, which sound great, but most of the time it's this is your rapper and this is your high-pitched singer who does all the big anthemic stuff, and this is your more mid-range singer who does maybe some of the quieter sections. And like everyone kind of has a role, and that's what I feel like here. When we get to specific parts, you have a specific singer for them. And I really would have liked more counterpoint, more layering, more harmonies, more use of having four vocalists at your disposal. I also found that the harsh vocals were pretty much exclusively used in the heavier sections. I think there was one moment when they were used in a lighter section. And conversely, the opposite is true too. Whenever there's heavy guitars going on, we have screaming and we don't have many cleans in there. And for as adventurous as this song gets, it's kind of weird that this kind of normal thing here, using your vocals in different sections instead of, pigeonholing them into where they can be. This feels incredibly tame and should be like a really low element of progressive writing. And it's kind of strange to me how this is where they decided to have restraints, where the rest of the song is incredibly experimental and progressive. But I don't know, maybe that's a small issue I take with it. The song is still very novel, fun to listen to, incredibly entertaining, and again, on the technical side of this too, just masterful on the composition and the performance level. Absolutely blown away by this, just as much as I was flabbergasted while actually listening to it. Let me look up some lyrics to this and then we're going to wrap this one up. All right. Found the lyrics in an odd place. Shazam. Yeah, song lyrics didn't have them. Lyrics Translate didn't have them. Genius didn't have them, but Shazam did. Granted, they weren't in English, so we are using Google Translate for this. I don't know how accurate these lines are, but I get a very general gist from this, which is a song about living your best life, not letting anyone put you down, and uplifting the people around you to live that life with you. It says at the very beginning, I want to convey these feelings. I want to leave behind proof that I lived. So what do you want to do? And if you're going to do it, then let's scare the world. It says now is always the time. Let your heart tremble and shout. There is a lot of lyrics to this, as I'm sure you picked up, but a lot of them tend to just reinforce this general idea here. What I believe is the chorus states, open your eyes and you'll see a new world. Those who lived and perished in the garden of pleasure die between reality and delusion. Wake up, rock star. This is your time to rise. Tear up your voice. Dance all night. Come on, shout. I want to tell you I'll be smiling today and tomorrow in the future we once promised, transcending time and soaring through the sky. It's a complete rampage. Venting my anger might be a little childish, but I do apologize. Is that enough? The people I want to see again are treasures in my memories. Until we meet again someday, I'll see you later. It's an interesting set here. The next, I don't know, because what I love about most people writing lyrics is you get stanzas, right? And, verse, chorus, bridge. Even if they're not clearly written, I can suss it out. No, Shazam just put this as one long run-on sentence. So I don't know where any of this fits into the track. I don't know how much of this is supposed to be read together, how much of it is supposed to have breaks between it. But this general idea of open your eyes, see a new world, wake up, this is your time to rise, is the general feeling throughout most of this track. There is a section where the person says, where am I? Is this hell? Someone help me. But then, coming across somebody they know, they say, spread your wings and fly across the vast earth. We will escape together. Take me to the ends of the night sky. Once again, connecting with people and rising above everything through those connections. It says, I want to tell you that we're transcending time and flying through the sky, dreaming at the dawn. My feelings won't fade away even if my wings are torn. A lot of this track is simply about this. I'm not going to go into all of the details, particularly because I'm kind of guessing some of these are supposed to be broken up into smaller stanzas that apply to the general vibe of each of these distinct sections. But I will say that I think the general gist of this track of being authentic to yourself, chasing your dreams, and not letting anyone stop you works really well with a track that is all over the place because it also feels authentic. In a sense, maybe this is who Broken by the Scream is. They're not letting anyone tell them they can't make music like this. And they'll just throw a 15-minute progressive experimental track together with every modern genre available. Although it just dawned on me there's no hip-hop or even rapped vocals in this. It's like the one obvious genre they missed here. But anyways, a song about just doing your best and rising above everything, I think makes sense in a track like this. I would like to see, and maybe I'll take the time to do it, although I would like a hand translated set of lyrics too, and apply it to each of the sections of the song and see where the emotion of that section might lean into some of what's being said a little stronger or emphasize specific emotions of it. Regardless, yeah, I think this works together well in an odd sort of synergy that elevates the track a little bit for me. The disconnectedness of the music makes sense. I can see the artistic purpose behind it now. But as usual, these are just my thoughts on Broken by the Scream's追憶のナスカ. What did you think of this? Is there anything that stood out to you? Anything that you'd like to add on to what I said or correct me on? Do you have your own perspective or opinion on this? Please put all of that as well as anything else you'd like to add into the comment section below. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. Takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.